Hey everyone, is this on? Where's it? Audio mute. Hello. Echo. All right, education. We were a little bit all over the map. I wanted to start that discussion out. Back up.
Mark, is your laptop?
Hello. Yeah, that sounds a little better. Thank you. I started by saying essentially I think AI in education is there's a lot of problems to overcome, but there's a lot of potential out there. So I started with the positive, and I was fortunate enough to have a person from the Khan Academy, which was actually the Nick. Is Nick Soder? Yeah, Nick Soder. Thanks for your contribution, Nick. And I recommend that go on to TED Talks if you haven't seen it. How many people have seen the video on TED Talks with the Khan Academy about some of their tools? Of course you've seen it, Nick. Actually, check it out. It's pretty innovative, and it's a nice demonstration of where we could go with education, and it's a concrete example of where that is. So I'll just leave it at that. Someone can describe it. That's what we did in the group. On the more negative side, the elephant in the room that began the discussion is the fact that currently public schools are abandoning across the nation ChatGPT because students are using it to plagiarize their papers. So what do you do to fix that? Well, we have to change the paradigm. We talked for a bit. How do we change the teaching to incorporate a better, or not even a better, but a definitely different way of assessing students to make sure that they've learned it, because there's a potential there for that they're not going to learn it, they're not going to do the work, they're just going to check the box. And we kind of talked about that a little bit. We did not solve that problem, by the way, but we agreed that there are a lot of problems. And then we went off the rails. So I'm not really sure exactly what to talk about here, but there's a lot of I'd say cultural problems with regards to education that we need to overcome. We really kind of need to do this. It was my position that I think this falls in higher education to actually solve some of these problems, because right now K through 12 is just washing their hands of it. They just can't manage the problem, so they're just running away from it. So we need to have that discussion. In my personal opinion, I've tried to say a couple of times, is I don't think we can legislate our way out of it. We really need to get everybody involved. And let's see. That's about it, really. I mean, we had a lot of different discussion that was going on. Do you want to add anything to that, or? All right, that's good. All right, thanks, everyone.
Any questions from the other groups that maybe couldn't participate? Daniel, thank you. It was awesome. Healthcare, Karen Sanders. Karen's coming out front too. Karen is also an entrepreneur. So she got here a little late. She was doing supporting a presentation Fab Friday at Ollie, just up on the hill here, and she skedaddled down, leaving a surgeon, I hope not on his own.
On stroke presentation.
On stroke presentation.
Yeah, right,
So,
right.
thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Mark. So, hi. So we were just saying just a minute ago that we would have loved to have Siri do a ChatGPT summary of our group, because we were all over the place. And so we look forward to that technology. But anyway, there was Alan, and he's the CFO from Givens Estates, and Carolyn Callahan, who's Executive Director of Educational Outreach at Western, and Bill Segerberg, who's past president of UNC Wilmington and also in Kentucky, and me, so we were all over the place. But what we just talked about is a lot of different pieces and charts that ChatGPT could accommodate with us. Alan talked about doing ChatGPT for residents, for customer service coming in to write blurbs, and marketing chat box, and when's the next trip to Ingalls, that a lot of the residents want to know when are we going to Ingalls, et cetera, to have that information readily available. And all of us said how wonderful ChatGPT was for all of us, because it was quick, because you can get done things very quickly. Carolyn talked about writing course curriculums and writing objectives and doing educational outreach very quickly. And for me as a patient advocate, one of the things that happens is people ask me all the questions, all kinds of weird questions about everything. So one of my patients a couple of days ago was an elderly veteran, and he's been on Cymbalta, which is an antidepressant. And he called and said, I want to get off of it. I'm sick and tired of being on Cymbalta. And can you tell me quickly, and I mean quickly, how fast can I get off of it? So I did ChatGPT and what's the taper for getting off Cymbalta. And it put out this one-page synopsis in like 20 seconds. And so I was able to read that to him. And then prior to that, another person had called and said, I'm having these symptoms of shaking and tremulousness and hand sweats. What's wrong with me? So I did that with ChatGPT, but that gave all kinds of issues that I didn't know if this was valid. Also, I wasn't quite sure if this was valid. If I had plenty of time, then I'd go to Mayo Clinic, or I'd go to Cleveland Clinic, or I'd go to Medscape to get all that information. So it's very quick. Is it, how do I check the veracity of this information? I don't know. It's just a concept, but we had a lot of fun just dreaming about the things we could do, but we ran out of time, and we had fun talking. Goodbye.
Holly Fisher. So Holly is an entrepreneur as well. She is owner of Fisher Creative Marketing and Story Brand certified guide. So look forward to hearing what your group had.
Yeah, sure, thanks. Hey everyone, I think like everybody, we probably covered a lot of different topics and a lot of different issues related to this. Certainly discussing how we might use things like ChatGPT in content creation, using it to help generate ideas or to help us write sometimes just sort of like short blurbs for things, right? So quick content, things that can be done to help improve efficiencies and even just our own productivity, right? Can use it to maybe take a larger piece of content that you've written and have it do summaries or short blurbs for social media, things like that, summarizing videos, podcasts, all of that. So definitely some positives. We definitely talked about the fact that, again, this is not a human, so it's not going to replace the same kind of writing that we would do as a professional writer, as a human writer. It's not going to be the same. And I think like all the other groups, raised a lot of the questions, that we don't have answers to at this point, which are, what happens when it spits out incorrect information? What happens when people publish incorrect information that's been generated by AI? Who owns the copyright to some of these things? How, even Google taking some of this stuff and parsing it together. Do they need to give you credit for the stuff that they've taken and generated? So there's just so many questions about all of this. The ethics, if I write something that I half generated with ChatGPT, are we co-authors on that, So lots of different questions that we raised, which certainly none of us have the answers to at this point, but certainly some positive ways that we can use this for content and for marketing. But again, just making sure that I think we're always mindful that, again, this is not replacing us as humans. It's not replacing the skills, the human elements that we can bring to our content creation. So.
Fantastic. Any questions for Holly? Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Okay, a special request from Julio. He says he just emailed something. It's critical, and
so like the other groups, we had a conversation that like wandered all over the place and touched on a lot of different things. But luckily, Mike had recorded it, and he had it transcribed, and he had ChatGPT summarize the meeting for us. So unfortunately, I'm out of a job, so I have nothing else to say up here.
And how accurate was it, or what was the feedback from the group on the synopsis?
Well, we just got it seconds ago. That's why I said. Actually, my synopsis is a little bit different than what ChatGPT's is up here. We can talk about that if you want to read that real quick. I think we talked on a lot of different things. We started out talking about whether OpenAI keeps or uses our data, and we at first were thinking like that was bad, like an intrusion of privacy. But then some of us decided, or kind of started to realize that the more it knows about us, the better it could serve our needs, right? And so we're like, well, what if it knew everything that we ever talked or used that information so that it could answer us in better ways? And then we talked about how that in a business might be like the corporate memory or the institutional memory, and what that means and how people could use that in a beneficial way. Then somebody said that they worked at I didn't write names down, I'm sorry. They worked at a healthcare facility, and that something like that would be really beneficial for their patients because we said also that this AI could take away some of the drudge work so that caretakers could then spend more time talking to people, and we'd have more information about the people, and we'd have their memories, and we could use them, and that'd be a very positive outcome for people. Then somebody said, well, maybe these people would have better relationships with digital agents rather than human people. And some thought that was dark, and some thought that was an interesting idea. And then there was a talk about whether the people the caretakers would they lose their jobs because we're kind of making them more efficient. Somebody said, hey, well, actually, employers want to pay people who are most leverage these systems the most, right? And how that can really actually improve your job security. And I'm getting to all this because it was an interesting chain of thought. Then Mike again, I think, said, we said, what can we do to help people learn better? And then Mike's idea was, I love these very creative ideas. He wanted to do more community outreach is what I'm calling it. And he's like, well, why don't we set up like a desk at the library, and then just answer ChatGPT questions, answer questions with ChatGPT whenever people come in. Because as much as I work with ChatGPT like 20 hours a day or whatever, like most of the population really don't know what it is or how to do it. So he had a lot of ideas about how to help like that. And I was thinking, it's like a tax workshop or like the diabetes screening clinic or something, things like that. So something like that might be interesting. I don't know. Then we had we had to make it more entertainment and more palatable for little kids and adults and stuff like that. And we touched briefly on Congress's. Well, I think we said that people don't even know what ChatGPT is, except for it's on the news now with the congressional hearings and stuff. Then we talked a little bit about compliance and what it really means to try to regulate it, what we would or could actually regulate, and then what agency or how would we even enforce it, right? Because if we cut back or if we pause it here in the US, then other countries and other forces will, they don't have to follow that rule. So we're all over the place. But if you want a summary, I can email you ChatGPT's version. Thank you.
Outstanding. And let's see here. Joe. This will be exciting. It's always insightful to hear from Joe and perspectives I hadn't thought about on the dark side of the world.
Yeah. When people think excitement, they think Joe. So we had a good time chatting. The big topic was, is this going to be a net gain or a net loss ultimately for us? And there, in terms of cybersecurity, I think the thought we coalesced was the bad guys are likely to stay just one step ahead as they have been, and we're going to keep chasing them. And that's going to, the other concern we talk about workforce, is this going to replace some security analysts, human security analysts? Ed was talking about a CIO he was talking to recently, suggesting that he's probably going to need less analysts. And I'm not sure. I think that if the bad guys are going to be one step ahead, we're going to still need, there's going to be an onslaught to deal with, and we're going to need people to help deal with that. And like everybody else, touches all these different topics, so we were all over the place. Learning is going to accelerate, right? We're going to accelerate this learning, but will we know facts, and how will we decipher between the two? Plus, if we are able to always reach very quickly into another realm, not having to recall, how does that affect our own growth and our intelligence, what we'll be able to solve in terms of problems. But then there was also a thought about, well, maybe this is going to create time for humans to spend time on more difficult problems that we need to solve. So that was an interesting other side of that. We discussed prompt injections. I didn't get into that in my discussion, but lots of ways to hack the tools to get it to do things that it's not supposed to do, or it's been programmed not to. And we talked about ways to do that. How are we going to address that? And talking about the guardrails and provide enforcement for controls, and from a legislation standpoint or some sort of governmental bodies. How is that going to happen? I mean, when we look at the dysfunction that we are dealing with in our political system, we do get some good things done. Of course we do. But dealing with technology issues has certainly been not their forte, so kind of scary. And then one last thought, just leave you on another dark note. China, right? If the more data is better, right? It's going to enable you to do more. What has China been doing? They have been, of course, collecting all that data on their own people, right? But they've been stealing it from everybody else too. And what does that mean for the power of China's AI tools? I guess we'll find out soon.
Very good point. Very good point.
Thanks, Fun Joe.
So that was utterly amazing. I'm totally thrilled at how this turned out. Again, I'm breathless. I don't know what to say, other than we will be sending a Google survey out to gather some more feedback. I'm hearing from Barbara Darby that there's a positive indicator. We might try and do this again, target different topics and groups and such, but that's part of the feedback I'll be looking for. The real cool part about this, like in other Asheville Digital Nomad events, I hear nuggets of cool things, and even Julio's summary I'm going to put into this AI reference. It's a Google site, and I'll bring that up in just a moment. But in closing, I do want to thank Asheville Digital Nomads. That's how I met Julio. The meetup has, in just over a year, 1,500 people, and you have to wonder what kind of knowledge and assets do they have that they can contribute to our community. Meet-the-Geeks has been around 17, 18 years. So,
We can almost vote.
So really appreciate it, Steve, Meet-the-Geeks. Land of Sky, Mountaineer Workforce Development Board, Nathan, Brandon, Barbara. In the background, Zia helped write the checks and such. Christina does the organizational part from our office up on New Leicester Highway. So I'm sorry they couldn't be here, but give them a big thanks. Guided Compass, Creighton Taylor, our community here, just totally amazing. Fisher Creative, WNC Broadband, Bill Cedarberg was here earlier. Keep in mind, there are people that just have no connectivity to the world. We are privileged with the connectivity. We have a little bit of a responsibility, and I think what we're doing here. We also have Through the Trees. If you go to Brevard, across from Arby's, right next to NC Works and Blue Ridge Community College, a lady by the name of Yvette Brooks and her husband Jim have opened up a upcycling tech thrift store. So if you have any digital devices you want to get wiped out, and they do that securely, more importantly, they return it to the community for those, especially coming for back to school, as well as work for internet advocacy. So I'm really happy about that. There's been several nuggets in here, so I created a Google site. That'll be part of the email that goes out. You can go ahead and jump to it right now, and I'll update what I can this evening. It just contains these little buckets. I tried to organize something so that I could share it with a group. What are our learnings? The QR code should take you directly there. Guided Compass is a functional app for the Mountaineer Workforce Development Board for employing career seekers in IT field. If you want to become a mentor, the dark purple, the fuchsia, the educators. Gosh, we have so much opportunity. Guided Compass is a portal to help facilitate that. And if you're looking for jobs, getting opportunities, the website is guidedcompass.com/partners/Mountaineer Workforce Development Board, or MAWDB. Holly Fisher, thank you. Just totally awesome. Content is about stories, and I love that little niche there. So in closing, Focal Point has provided 3 passes over there. I have your ticket stubs here, so if you can pull out your blue ticket stubs, you do have to be present for this. And when we're all through, if you're interested in joining us at the Wedge Brewery, down at the railroad tracks, I don't have beer tokens, we couldn't get that worked out. It's a casual group meeting if you want to further geek out over Iron Rail. Is that right, Steve? There. Woo, can't wait.
Validate with me, there's so many other people in this room.
So when someone's number is called, they get to choose their door prize. So we have strawberries from South Carolina where I live, some unsalted and hot nuts, Cajun, the 3 passes to Focal Point. If you really like flour tortillas, help yourself, and then Mark brought this, and then we have the WCU bag.
So what a selection. If your number is 6553, are you here? 6553.
South tortillas.
Yeah.
Take one for the group, go ahead.
6556, are you here? 6556. Yep. Yay, we have a winner. Congratulations. What will he pick out? I wonder. 6545?
Oh, yeah.
All right. We like these positive signs in life, you know? All right. Brian, what'd you get?
I got hot nuts.
All right, sounds good. We see the plant has a home. Super happy. 6542. 6542. All right. And what is she gonna select? I wonder. Oh, look at that. Wonderful. The strawberries have a home.
I'm not going to look at these, please.
6552. 6552. Do we have that individual here? 6552, going once, going twice. Now it's going to 6544. 6544, Steve Newman. What will he get? Awesome. 6548. 6548. Are you here? Awesome. The pickings are getting slim, but there's still some cool things there. 6549, 6549. Are you here? All right. All right. So we have about 3 or 4 more articles left here.
1, 2, 3, 4 left.
Okay. 6554, 6554. We have a winner in the back. He looks really happy. There we go. We love the enthusiasm closing to the day. 6562, 6562. Are you here? Going once, going twice, gone to 6568. Hey, we have a 6568 here. Fantastic. 6561, 6561. All right, we have a winner.
That's why you're having dinner.
Is that it? That's it? So folks, this has been utterly amazing. I want to thank University of North Carolina at Asheville for stewarding our wonderful group here. This has really been a wonderful place. And I look forward to seeing folks at Wedge Brewery. Steve, Barbara, any closing comments?
Thank you, Mark. This has been spectacular, and I know you've been spearheading it, so thank you, sir.
All right, me too. Thank you, folks. Be safe.